are going to explore one of the most mysterious ideas in psychology, an idea that challenges the way we normally think about reality. It comes from the famous Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung, and it is called synchronicity. Synchronicity is the idea that some events in life appear to be connected in a meaningful way, even though there is no obvious causal relationship between them. In other words, things happen together in ways that feel deeply meaningful, yet cannot be explained by simple cause and effect. Jung described this concept in his book, Synchronicity, an Acausal Connecting Principle. According to Jung, the modern scientific worldview explains events through causality. One thing causes another thing. A billiard ball hits another ball, and the second ball moves. This is a cause and effect relationship. But Jung suggested that some experiences do not follow this pattern. Sometimes events occur simultaneously in ways that carry psychological meaning for the person experiencing them, and these events cannot always be explained through direct physical causes. One of Jung's most famous examples is the story of the scarab. During a therapy session, a patient was telling Jung about a dream she had the night before. In the dream, she had received a golden scarab, a type of beetle that was considered sacred in ancient Egyptian symbolism. As she described the dream, Jung suddenly heard a tapping sound at the window. When he turned around, he saw an insect flying against the glass. He opened the window and caught it. The insect was a scarab-like beetle. He handed the beetle to the patient and said, "Here is your scarab." For the patient, this moment had a powerful psychological effect. She had been extremely rational and resistant to emotional breakthroughs during therapy, but this strange coincidence created a shock in her perception of reality. It opened her mind to deeper psychological processes. Jung believed this event was an example of synchronicity. The dream and the appearance of the beetle were not causally related, yet they occurred together in a meaningful way. For Jung, this suggested that the psyche and the external world might sometimes align in ways that reveal hidden patterns. To understand synchronicity more deeply, we need to look at another important idea in Jung's psychology, the collective unconscious. Jung believed that the human mind is not only shaped by personal experiences, it also contains deeper layers shared by all human beings. This deeper layer is called the collective unconscious. Inside the collective unconscious exist structures called archetypes. Archetypes are universal patterns of meaning. They appear in myths, dreams, religions, and symbols across different cultures. For example, the archetype of the hero, the mother, the shadow, or the wise old man. These archetypes shape how we interpret experiences. When a synchronicity occurs, it often activates one of these archetypal patterns. The coincidence becomes meaningful because it resonates with something deep in the psyche. Jung did not believe synchronicity was supernatural. Instead, he believed it revealed that reality might be more complex than simple linear causality. In some situations, psychological meaning becomes the connecting principle between events. He called this an Acausal Connecting Principle, a connection that is not based on cause and effect, but on meaning. This idea fascinated Jung for many years. He even collaborated with the physicist Wolfgang Pauli to explore whether synchronicity might reflect deeper structures in the universe. They wondered whether mind and matter could be connected through patterns we do not yet fully understand. From a modern perspective, synchronicity can be interpreted in several ways. Some psychologists believe these experiences are examples of pattern recognition. The human brain is extremely good at detecting Others believe synchronicity reflects how the mind assigns meaning to events. When we are going through major life transitions, we become more sensitive to symbols and coincidences. During these periods, meaningful coincidences can feel especially powerful. However, Jung believed that reducing synchronicity to pure chance misses something important. The psychological impact of these events is real. They can change how people see their lives. They can trigger moments of transformation. They can help individuals recognize hidden aspects of themselves. For Jung, synchronicity was closely related to the process he called individuation. Individuation is the psychological journey of becoming a whole and integrated person. During this process, the conscious mind becomes aware of deeper unconscious patterns. Synchronicities sometimes appear during moments when a person is moving toward greater self-awareness. In this sense, synchronicity is not simply about strange coincidences. It is about the relationship between the inner world and the outer world, a moment when psyche and reality briefly mirror each other. Many people report synchronicities during periods of emotional intensity, moments of crisis, moments of love, moments of transformation. At these times, ordinary events may suddenly appear filled with meaning. A song plays at exactly the right moment. A book appears that answers a question you are struggling with. You think about someone, and they suddenly contact you. For Jung, these moments invite us to pay attention, not because they prove supernatural forces exist, but because they reveal how meaning shapes human experience. Synchronicity reminds us that the mind does not simply observe reality, it participates in interpreting it. Our psychological world constantly interacts with the events around us, and sometimes these interactions produce moments that feel almost magical. Whether synchronicity reflects deep structures of the universe, or simply the powerful pattern-making abilities of the human mind, remains an open question. But Jung believed these experiences deserved serious attention, because they reveal something essential about the nature of consciousness. They show that human beings do not live in a purely mechanical world. We live in a world filled with symbols, meaning, and interpretation. And sometimes, in rare moments, the inner and outer worlds seem to meet. Those moments are what Carl Jung called synchronicity. Another way to understand synchronicity is to consider how the human mind constantly searches for meaning. Human beings are not purely rational machines. We are meaning-making creatures. From the earliest civilizations, people have interpreted events through symbols, myths, and stories. Ancient cultures believed that events in the world often carried messages. The flight of birds, the movement of the stars, or the sudden appearance of an animal could all be interpreted as signs. In modern times, science has moved away from this symbolic interpretation of reality. Instead, the scientific worldview emphasizes measurement, probability, and causality. But Jung believed that the symbolic dimension of human experience never disappeared. It simply moved into the unconscious mind. When synchronicities occur, they often feel meaningful because they activate symbolic patterns that already exist within us. The coincidence resonates with something deep inside the psyche. For example, imagine that you are going through a difficult period in your life. You are searching for direction, questioning your purpose, wondering which path to take. Then suddenly you encounter a sentence in a book that perfectly describes your situation. Or you hear a conversation that answers the exact question you are asking yourself. To an outside observer, this may appear to be a simple coincidence, but to the person experiencing it, the event feels almost uncanny. It feels as though reality itself is responding to their inner state. Jung believed that moments like these reveal an important truth about human consciousness. Our inner psychological world and the outer world of events are not completely separate. They are constantly interacting. Sometimes this interaction produces moments of unexpected harmony, moments when the outer event mirrors the inner situation of the individual. In Jungian psychology, such moments can play a powerful role in psychological transformation. They can break rigid patterns of thinking. They can open the mind to new possibilities. They can create a sense of wonder about the nature of reality itself. Jung also observed that synchronicities often occur during periods of emotional intensity, times when the unconscious mind is especially active. For example, during dreams, crises, creative breakthroughs, or moments of deep introspection. During these periods, the boundary between conscious and unconscious awareness becomes more fluid. Symbols and archetypal images begin to emerge more strongly, and the individual becomes more sensitive to meaningful connections between events. This is one reason why artists, writers, and philosophers often report experiencing synchronicity. Creative work frequently involves entering a state where unconscious material becomes accessible. Ideas appear suddenly. Connections between concepts become clear. Unexpected patterns emerge. For Jung, synchronicity was not something that could easily be measured or tested through traditional scientific experiments. It was a phenomenon that existed at the intersection between psychology and meaning. He believed that our understanding of reality might eventually expand beyond strict mechanical causality. In collaboration with the physicist Wolfgang Pauli, Jung explored whether modern physics might point toward deeper patterns within nature. Quantum physics, for example, suggests that reality at its most fundamental level behaves in ways that are not entirely predictable. Events may occur according to probabilities rather than fixed mechanical laws. Jung wondered whether synchronicity might reflect a similar principle operating at the psychological level. Perhaps the universe contains underlying patterns that connect mind and matter in ways we do not yet fully understand. However, Jung was careful not to present synchronicity as a mystical doctrine. He did not claim that every coincidence carries hidden meaning, nor did he suggest that people should constantly search for signs in every event. Instead, he encouraged a balanced attitude. Synchronicity should be approached with curiosity rather than blind belief. It invites us to remain open to the mysterious aspects of experience without abandoning critical thinking. In the end, Jung believed that synchronicity reveals something profound about the human condition. It reminds us that our lives are not experienced as a series of isolated events. Instead, we experience life through patterns of meaning, through symbols, through stories, through the subtle connections we perceive between our inner thoughts and the world around us. Whether synchronicity reflects hidden structures within the universe, or simply the extraordinary ability of the human mind to find meaning in complex patterns, the experience itself remains deeply powerful. Moments of synchronicity can remind us that reality is richer and more mysterious than it first appears. They invite us to pause, to reflect, and to consider that the boundary between the inner world of the mind and the outer world of events may not be as rigid as we once believed. For Carl Jung, synchronicity was not merely a strange psychological curiosity. It was a doorway. It was a doorway a glimpse into the deeper relationship between consciousness, meaning, and the unfolding patterns of life itself. And perhaps that is why the idea continues to fascinate people today, because somewhere within each of us lies the quiet suspicion that the universe may be more interconnected, more symbolic, and more mysterious than we usually imagine. And when those rare moments occur, when the inner world and the outer world seem to briefly align, we experience something that feels both strange and deeply familiar. Those moments are what Carl Jung called synchronicity.